is it free? And we're like, yeah, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're part of the university. All of these services are for you to use and access.
Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Belong at Brighton podcast. So coming to university is not all about what you learn but how you learn it. And today we're joined by a panel of experts from our Brighton Skills Hub. So we'll start off with some introductions first of all. So should we start with you?
Hello, I'm Theresa and I'm a lecturer in the Skills Hub, an academic skills tutor and the lead for peer communities.
Wonderful, thanks Theresa. And
Hi James, I'm Angelica. I'm projects assistant at the Skills Hub, so I work on a wide range of projects.
Wonderful, thanks Angelica.
Hi James, I'm Ailsa. I'm a senior lecturer in the Skills Hub, an academic skills tutor, and I lead the English language support.
Wonderful, great to have you here everyone. So should we start at the top really and just sort of say, so what exactly is the Skills Hub? What sort of support do you provide? Angelica, do you want to start us off?
So we're a team of diverse interests and we help students with a wide range of support, but I guess our key support is a range of tutorials. So that could be academic skills, maths and stats. We offer time management support as well, stuff with AI, coaching. So loads of different things there. And we also have our writing advisory service where students can submit up to 3,000 words and they'll get developmental feedback on their assignment before they submit it.
Brilliant. It sounds like there's tons of support available. So we'll do a bit of a deep dive into exactly what all that means. Theresa, can we come to you? So what are the sort of reasons that students do come to you and what do they ask you?
I think often they come to us because they're feeling underconfident or they might just want some reassurance or they might even be overwhelmed.
Sure.
So a big range of motivations for coming to us. And it's often when they're faced with an assignment, perhaps a writing assignment that they're not sure about or they want some help with. So they come to us to really get ideas often and to talk through kind of their concerns relating to their assignment. So a lot of the tutorials are very specifically focused on an assignment.
I think as well they come along because often we see students as well that are doing quite well, but they want to improve their grades, which most students do, obviously. So they're rocking along quite nicely, but they want to develop their skills, sort of build on them, so their grades can improve. And I think students often come with, so as Theresa said, they come with their assignment. We look at at any stage of the assignment writing, in fact, whether it's their brief they bring with them and we discuss that, or they bring some of their writing, their draft, whilst they're preparing a written assignment, and we can give them feedback on all of the academic quality and focus just on the skills that they need. So it's very individual. So depending on the year, it can vary, can't it? Often with like first year students, it might be things like structure and organisation, referencing, using sources, reading and research skills, planning, checking before submission, all of those sorts of skills. And then as they move up into other years, it might be more to do with criticality, really developing a logical argument through an assignment, making sure they've got sound conclusions. So, bringing in those more complex sort of academic skills as they go up. And again, postgraduate students as well. And I think can I just say, there is a bit of a misnomer out there in the uni, because students still ask us at freshers, is it free? And we're like, we're part of the, don't they? Yeah, we're part of the university. All of these services are for you to use and access. And if you want to do well on your studies and you want to develop the academic skills that you have and build on them and do well, then it's a really good opportunity to do that.
And it's quite a big, we do sort of pick that up sometimes, it is quite a big anxiety for students coming from school or college. And it is a step up, isn't it? That sort of level of academic study.
I think that particularly, as Ailsa said, depending on the year, so first years or new students at any level can often feel they might have had a gap in their education. They might be coming from different countries, different education systems, all sorts of transitions that they're having to overcome. So I think students often come to us because they're not confident. And so I think that, and sometimes the actual, if you call it an academic skill, like planning an essay or something like that, but actually it's often quite a simple fix. So we can often do an awful lot in 50 minutes with one student to overcome that little block.
Yeah.
But actually, I think what we're doing is helping students to feel more confidence and understanding of academic expectations, what's expected of them, to help them develop a sense of their own ability to solve problems next time. And I've had sort of third years coming to me saying they've struggled with their grades and they've struggled with their submissions over 3 years. I wish I'd come earlier.
Yeah, that's a classic line from students.
Really? Yeah.
Come early, but they don't. Often students may not know we exist, and is the big challenge, is to make sure we're as visible as we can be.
We often see students with their feedback. Whether they've done well or not in an assignment, they come along in a one-to-one tutorial with their feedback, and we can sort of unpick the tutor feedback they've received, because often students don't know what to do with it. Sometimes they don't even understand the feedback they've received. So we can help sort of go through that with them so they can understand it, and that means that with subsequent assignments moving forward, they can apply that learning from the tutorial into their subsequent assignments, and obviously hopefully do better.
I think it's just that opportunity for a student to have a different kind of conversation.
Yeah.
So they'll have their tutorials with their course team and their personal academic tutors, which are very subject specific. But our conversations with them are outside their particular course. So we're very familiar with their course, and we are familiar with their assignments and their briefs, but we're looking at it from a different perspective. And I think that's helpful for students to have that different voice.
The other thing that Angelica mentioned is the writing advisory service. So we've just spoken about the tutorials then. And those are the academic skills tutorials, and there are other tutorials, as Angelica said. But the writing advisory service is always very popular with students. It's one of our key services. So if a student doesn't want a tutorial or can't come to a tutorial, then they can get feedback on their written work online. So they can still receive that advice and guidance and feedback from us through that online platform, and it doesn't have to be one-to-one. And just an FYI with the one-to-ones, they're in person and on Teams. We do have them at different times of day. We do have some ones late afternoon, early evening. So we try and make a good range of times available to students for those that are on placement, commuting, whatever it might be, so they can still access the service and get a one-to-one.
Yeah, making it as accessible as possible. Yeah.
And I suppose you do get, like we said, here at Brighton, we have a real rich dynamic of different students, don't we? So I know sometimes mature students might be, like you said, Theresa, students who are returning to study. So again, that flexibility must really fall in well with that sort of
I think the mature students at the beginnings of every year, we see a lot, don't we? Because they often have a lot invested in their studies. You know, they've often got families and complicated lives, and they tend to be quite anxious about kind of doing their best and getting the most out of their time here. So a lot of those students are very high achievers, but not confident. So I think, again, that's something that we emphasise. We're not just supporting students who are struggling to pass. We support students who are really wanting to
thrive,
the best they can in their studies. So it's a huge range of students that we see.
Yeah, we're for everyone, aren't we?
We're for everyone.
So we've now been joined on the podcast by Alex, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about the maths and stats support that we have at the Skills Hub. So Alex, you want to introduce yourself? Welcome.
Yeah, hi, thank you. I'm Alex. I'm a projects coordinator in the Skills Hub. A big part of my job is supporting different peer mentoring schemes around the university, but I also help out with the day-to-day operations in the Skills Hub too.
Brilliant. So maths and stats then, obviously, that's an important skill as well for quite a few of our courses. So how can the Skills Hub support with students who are feeling perhaps a bit anxious about how to approach using that in projects and assignments? Yeah,
so our support, it's obviously for anyone who's doing a course that involves maths and stats, but a lot of our support goes towards students who may not have done A-level maths before and are now doing a course that involves maths, or students who maybe struggled with it when they were in school or college and they need that kind of one-to-one support, or who just kind of want the practice of the skills they're learning related to maths and statistics in their course. So what we do is we support course teams by putting on workshops to give students the practice to implement the skills they've learned in their lectures. And we also provide specific statistics support. So that can include helping students with quantitative research design if they're undertaking research. But it also might involve helping them get to grips with different software related to statistics as well. And then, of course, our one-to-one offering where you can get very sort of hands-on maths or statistics support.
So many students are coming to university thinking about AI, which is everywhere at the moment. So how are the Skills Hub aware of that and how do they feed into that sort of side of things?
That's a really good question because it's very present in all of our minds, I think, right now, AI, generative AI. And students this year will be getting to grips with the new traffic light or RAG system. Theresa, could you talk a little bit more about that and the support we're offering?
Yeah, sure. So the university has implemented a policy, I think, which is sector-wide largely, which is a red, amber, green light system, because students essentially are dependent on what their module tells them to do, whether they can use AI or not. So the red is absolutely not. The amber is you can use it depending on how the assignment brief tells you can use it to support your work. And green is you have to use it in order to do that assignment. So going back to maths and stats, in some of those departments, it's more likely that they might have a green light because they need AI to complete their assignments. The area of doubt and potential concern for students is the amber, because it's learning how to use AI in a way that develops your learning and doesn't do the learning for you. So that's where the Skills Hub come in. We do offer tutorials, one-to-one tutorials for students who are amber or green, if there are concerns about how to use it. And our policy and the university policy is that AI should be used to support your learning and not do it for you.
So here at the University of Brighton, we have lots of international students. So it's probably those types of students who might be feeling slightly more anxious. And how do those international students access support and what do we offer them?
Well, in terms of international students, it's not international students alone. It's any student that has English as an additional language. So the way that we can support these students, we've got a range of workshops and courses, and we develop their language proficiency and fluency and confidence through building academic skills. So, for example, coming up, we've got some workshops starting next week. We have communication and participating in seminars. We've got reading and research skills. We've got planning and giving presentations. And then we've got a final one on incorporating sources into your work. So just from the titles of those, you can tell that they're all very much academic skills based, but they're done in a class with other students that don't have English as a first language, and they've got that chance to also develop their confidence and proficiency with their language skills. In terms of a course that we have coming up, so once the workshops finish at the end of November, we have a 5-week course coming up, in assignment writing. So taking the students through the process of writing an assignment from the very beginning, from getting their assignment brief all the way through to final submission. And we're offering that at undergraduate level and postgraduate level. So if a student was interested, if they go to our webpage, if they go to the Skills Hub website, they can access the English Language Support webpage from there. And there's a sign-up form that they can register for. We offer one-to-one support in general, as you know, through the Skills Hub. We've talked about it already. But the majority of the tutors that work in the Skills Hub and offer the academic skills tutorials, our background is English for academic study. We're all very experienced teachers in that field. So whilst a student might come for a tutorial to look at their academic skills, if they want to focus on their language and any areas of their language, then we can also help within that tutorial. If they want to focus solely on language skills, for example, they've got a presentation coming up and they want to maybe practice with us, check their slides, look at the language, practice pronunciation-wise, and just, their fluency for doing their presentation, then again, we can offer that in a one-to-one tutorial. What we really encourage with students in our inductions and our courses and workshops, it's really coming along to connect with other students from across the university, isn't it? Yeah. And it gives these students, particularly at the beginning, as you say, that transition can be quite hard, particularly if you've moved to Brighton and the UK for the first time, you're away from family or what have you, you've sort of relocated to be here. It gives that sense of belonging at the university, which is really key for these students to thrive, all students, in fact.
I think it's a brilliant opportunity for those students to meet other students from different courses, different levels of study, different experiences from across the world. It's a fantastic opportunity for them to develop relationships beyond their own specific course, community.
And it feeds into your area that you're about to talk about, because we know from previous research how effective peer work is. Yeah. And it's something that we've always based our teaching, and when we've designed courses, that's what we've always based it upon. The power of peer work. So that's very much encouraged in our courses, and it's something that Theresa and Alex are really taking forward in the Skills Hub, which I think you're about to find out about. So I'll let them talk about it.
So we're now joined on the sofa by one of our current students, Anna. So Anna, do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
My name is Anna. I'm a computer science student, second year, and I've been involved with Skills Hub last year, creating a peer mentoring program.
Wonderful.
Both with my manager Alex. Last year as well, I was a digital learning partner, which helped me to find out about our current program, which is peer mentoring.
Okay, brilliant. Well, we're looking forward to hearing a lot more about that. So, Alex, can we bring you in? I know you mentioned the peer mentoring stuff at the beginning. Can you explain a bit more about exactly what that is and how the Skills Hub sort of slot into that?
Yeah, I'd love to. So something that the university is currently very focused on, both in our access and participation plan to support students, but also generally amongst the staff and our projects, is this idea of a sense of belonging at the university. It being a place not just where you come to study, but actually you have community and a sense of belonging. You feel like, you are Brighton, distinctively Brighton, as we kind of say. And peer mentoring and our other peer projects fall into that. And it's really about how you can be supported on your course by your peers. And also it brings together that kind of connection between people. And it's not necessarily always course-based. One of the projects I've been very lucky to be involved with behind the scenes, helping with the logistics, is our Amplify peer mentoring program, which is targeted at Black heritage students. What's really special about this project is that it was created from student voice. So it's actually representing something that students have asked for, that they want, as well as having that kind of theoretical background in how peer mentoring can support students with their academics, their confidence and their sense of belonging. And that's currently launching now. I've actually got the exciting plan today to go along to the training for the peer mentors, which is happening. So I'm looking forward to that later on. And we're currently still recruiting mentees for that program. So that's one of the really great examples of how we're kind of trying to promote inclusivity and belonging at Brighton. We also, something I'm very happy to be involved with, that's run by the Skills Hub, is the Neurodivergent Skills Support Group, which is a project originally created by Angelica, who was here before when she was an intern with us, and now has kind of been transferred into student hands. We've been recruiting student partners to help with that. So we facilitate it, and the students lead on that in the sense that they make decisions about what they want, what they think they need help with, and they're supporting each other in that environment, which is really great. And then the final thing is, Anna mentioned earlier that there's been a program developed, peer mentoring for computer science, and that's one of our examples of course-based peer mentoring schemes where students in the higher levels of the course can support students in the lower levels. So yeah, there's lots going on with peer mentoring, and I've been really lucky to work on all of this with Theresa, who is a peer learning expert, I would say, but I think can talk more about what she's been doing and sort of the background behind this for you as well.
Yeah, thank you, Alex. That's very kind. I think my expertise is in peer-to-peer learning, and I think what most people are more familiar with is mentoring and having that, what we would call a kind of vertical peer learning, where somebody who's got more experience like Anna might work with students in a lower level of study because they've been through that experience and can pass on lots of valuable knowledge and experience to those students. Where I kind of come in is the benefit of what we call horizontal peer learning, which is peer-to-peer, where there's no difference in level, there's no leader. Often sort of students sometimes come forward as natural leaders, like Anna again, which happens very naturally. It can emerge from a group of students working together. And I think, Anna, you've been very, very instrumental in one of those peer communities, and it would be great if you could tell us a bit more about that.
I personally think that this is very important to break first ice during the first year and start creating friendships, connections, which helps you feel like sense of belonging in the lively university atmosphere. And it's very comfortable to approach somebody on your level with some problems, to feel like that you are not the only one person struggling or having questions, and
Absolutely.
trying to resolve and grow in the university. I think our peer mentoring program helps both mentees and mentors to grow, because mentors feel like they can upskill their soft skills and build leadership a bit, feelings and experience, as well as mentees who can resolve their problems at studies, feel support from them, and it builds very good communication between each other as well.
Yeah. Can you tell us, because you actually were really instrumental in helping Alex, I think, with setting up the computer science peer learning community, and I think you did a bit of research, didn't you, as well? What did that involve?
Yes, so we started off with creating a survey for computer science students about the peer mentoring program, what are the actual needs, expectations, and imagination about this program. I reached out to students both personally and online. I talked to my upper level friends from studies to help me understand how their experience during the first year was and what's going on now. we gathered lots of data and we were able to create, I think, very promising program.
I think it's a fantastic example, actually, of how all particularly the sort of curricular or co-curricular peer learning communities are very specific to the needs of the subject.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it can be students that reach out to us and want something to be set up, or the course team can reach out to us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is what's been so fantastic about working with you, Anna, because you're absolutely right. There's different needs when it comes to different types of peer communities. And so actually having the ability to work with a student and for you to go out and research from your peers and find out what do computer science students need has actually been, I think, so important as part of the process. Wouldn't you agree?
Okay, so we've heard loads and loads of stuff today about the Skills Hub and all the brilliant work that you do. So all of that stuff out there, how do students get started and how do they access the services?
Yeah, I guess it's a lot to get your head round, but the easiest way is to head to our SharePoint page, and we've got a big button that says Book Support. And then it lists all the things that we offer. So all of the tutorials, the writing advisory service, all of that is available. And you literally just fill out the form and then you'll be sent a link and then you can book it. But we have like little sub pages as well. So for like English language support, it's got its own page with all the information on it, for example. So yeah, all of the things we've mentioned is available there.
And the new students starting with us, they get to meet you, don't they,
Yes.
in their first kind of weeks of term?
Yeah. So our team have been very busy during Belong at Brighton. We've been going into all the new sessions and meeting all the new students and telling them about what we do.
Brilliant.
And I think if you go to our SharePoint and you can't find what you're looking for, we're always one email away. We're also quite visible in the library, so you might see us around, but you can always email the Skills Hub as well if you can't find what you're looking for, and one of us will be very, very happy to help you.
Yeah.
As we sort of wrap up, I always like to think of some, like, I don't know, top tips or any words of wisdom, last bits of advice. So Anna, as one of our current students, I don't know if you've got any top tips about using the Skills Hub or engaging with the service.
I think most important is to stay open to the opportunities, seek out and reach out to staff members. There's already existing help.
And Alex and Angelica as well, anything to add, any more kind of top tips that you'd give students or new students starting with us?
Yeah, I think in line with what Anna was saying, I think my top tip would be not to view university as just a course, but think of it as a package of support to help you achieve a qualification. And there's so much support and opportunities available to students in so many different parts of the university. We've talked about ours today, but I know it's all across the university. And just, keep your eyes open, look out for different opportunities and treat your student experience as something to constantly build upon at your own pace, of course, but there's so much on offer, so just reach out.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's like a really holistic thing, isn't it? You're a student here, so you're doing your course, but there's also all these other things that you can get involved in as well. So I think like just taking that first step and starting something or getting involved with something that the Skills Hub do or any of the other projects that are going on, just taking that first leap and getting started with something, because it can lead to anywhere really.
Well, thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been a really great chat. I've learnt loads and it's been great to hear all about the support that the Skills Hub offer. So thanks very much, everyone, for taking part today. Don't forget, you can find out everything, further information about the Skills Hub and what they offer. We'll put the links below in the show notes. So thanks very much, everyone, and we'll see you all soon.